Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 2. Today is an opportunity for us to take a bit of time to celebrate a number of things around the college. We had a kick-off assembly last week. The next 2 weeks after this, we'll be celebrating the academic achievements of your brothers across semester 1, which will be great. So today we have an opportunity to catch up on some news and have a musical number and look to the weeks ahead, particularly mental wellness week over the next 10 days. Gentlemen, I must admit to feeling a bit like a scratched record. Probably some of you have no experience of what that is. It's when you just have to keep jumping back and repeating yourself over and over again, because I see far too many men sitting in front of me without wearing blazers. I'll wait till you're settled. The CLT who leads you in prayer every afternoon say it almost every day. I say it every Tuesday. I'm sure you're getting it from your PC tutors and your house deans. I'm not sure what the problem is. You wear it to school. You wear it to PC. You wear it to all formal occasions, including assemblies and house masses. You put it back on at the end of the day, and you do not take it off until you get home or back to the boarding house. It's fairly simple. Our inability to be able to do the simple things is what makes us feel as if we're going around and around in circles talking about the same stuff. No one likes it, it's boring. In the next few weeks, we will also, as a school, celebrate NAIDOC Week, because NAIDOC Week normally happens during our school holidays. So as a foreshadowing of that day of celebration for our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, let us commit ourselves to continue to walking towards reconciliation and justice with them as we acknowledge their millennia custody of these lands and waterways that we are blessed to call Nudgee. Let's begin with prayer.
Good morning, staff and gentlemen of Nudgee. You may recall that last week I stood up and spoke to you about the importance of the Hail Mary prayer, and I've got some feedback for you on that. I was privileged to be out at Thurston Road on Saturday to watch our first 15 and our seconds and our 16As and a few other teams play against Brisbane State High, but I had yet another goosebump type moment, because when the first 15 knelt down in front of a large bay of supporters with only the second 15 there to tunnel them on, there was nothing but absolute silence as the boys reverently engaged in that prayer for blessing over their safety. Not for the blessing of victory, but the blessing of their safety. They then stood from that prayer, recited the war cry, and were then greeted by the supporting bay of Nudgee men with an enormous cheer as they then filed through the tunnel led by Levi Slater out to the game. It was goosebump type stuff for me as a first-time observer of that type of contest, and I want to commend all the Nudgee students who were able to reverently participate in the Hail Mary prayer on Saturday. Gentlemen, today, July 22, marks the feast day of another great Mary in our Catholic calendar. This is not Mary, the mother of Jesus. This is not Mary, the daughter of Blessed Edmund Rice, that the Mary Rice building is named after. This is Mary of Magdala, or Mary Magdalene, as the Gospel names her. Mary Magdalene is an incredibly important person in our Gospel because she's seen to be the apostle of the apostles. In some respects, a bit of a 13th disciple, and the only female who is rumoured to have frequently met with the disciples and shared in conversation with Jesus. So important was Mary Magdalene that she was the first person that the risen Christ appeared to and spoke to. If that doesn't say something about the importance that she's the first that Jesus goes to, I'm not sure what would. But moreover, Mary Magdalene was very much a loyal and strong person, as so many of our female role models are for us. In fact, when Jesus was being tortured on the cross by the Romans, not one single disciple, be it Peter or Matthew or John or Luke, stayed there to observe, as they were fearful of their own safety. Yet Mary Magdalene stood there at the foot of the cross, surrounded by a crowd that was baying for blood, and remained with Christ until he passed away. Hers is very much a story of strength, of overcoming adversity, and of being loyal to our aspirations and goals. And gents, sometimes in term 3, the premiership quarter, as I've heard it referred to as nudgy, you need to show resilience. You need to show strength when things aren't going your way. And for us as Catholics, today, July 22, we very much honour Mary Magdalene, one of Jesus' closest friends and the apostle to the apostles. So, gentlemen, I invite you to join with me in prayer this morning as I lead us in a blessing around the connotations and virtues of Mary Magdalene. If you join with me, please, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Loving God, we pray that our nudgy community may be people like Mary Magdalene who are witness to the miracles and liberation of Christ. May we always be courageous followers of your teachings. Grant us the strength to seek your support and to find just and fair outcomes in all that we do. And live Jesus in our hearts forever. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Gentlemen, as is tradition for me, I want to draw reference to 3 instances of phenomenal kindness that I've observed around the grounds in the last couple of weeks. The first image that you can see here was sent to me by Mrs. Roberts. And Mrs. Roberts frequently wanders down the stairs from Dewig and sees a group of Year 9 students who sit kind of in that little undercovered area between where the away dressing room is and where the home dressing room is for a match on Ross Oval. Just behind where those Year 9 boys sit, there's the plaques of all the Wallabies who have attended Nudgee College. You can see here an image which is a before and an image of after. The one on the left-hand side, the before image, shows a pile of chairs randomly thrown around, rubbish on the floor, looks like some spoons out of the boarding village. The place looks like an absolute mess. Gentlemen, that's what that space looked like for much of term 1, for most of term 2. Miss Roberts rightfully had had enough and challenged the group of Year 9 boys and said, "You will not be able to sit here during your break times if it continues to be left like this in term 3. And a doff of the cap to those boys, because the image on the right shows what that space was left looking like after break times each day last week. There's no rubbish, and respectfully those students had stacked the chairs, leaving it an appropriate space. That's kindness. It's being aware of other people, being aware of our grounds, being aware of the responsibilities of our cleaning staff and all the boys and staff that frequent that space. It's not hard. Just leave things as you find them. Gentlemen, speaking of rubbish, there was an improvement, so I'm going to throw an extra challenge at you today. You may be aware that there's a few different bins around Nudgee, one of which is just for general litter and one of which is for cans and bottles and poppers, things that can be recycled for 10 cents each. That money all goes to charity. In semester 1, there was more than $400 which we were able to donate to farmers who are struggling in periods of drought or flood. That's where the money goes from our recycled goods. I haven't raised it with you before, but some boys maybe take a little bit of a lazy option at times and throw non-recyclable goods into that same bin. Crust from sandwiches, a little bit of rubbish in there. You can see there's a Gatorade bottle with a Western Bulldog sticker on there. That belongs in the bin. But my challenge to you is when you find those green bins, they're pretty clearly identifiable as recyclable. Thanks, gents. Please make sure that only recyclable goods go in there, because some feedback from the company that gave us that $400 was that, look, it was a really tedious task separating what can be recycled from what can't. It's probably not worth the manual labour if we can't work out how to separate our litter. So my challenge is there for you, please, gentlemen. My second instance of culture of kindness is an incredibly inspiring one that came from the boarding village. Gentlemen, there's a lad in Year 12 who has had some fairly significant health issues over this past few months, and therefore an activity that many of the Year 11 and 12 boys participated in on the weekend involving some paintballing or skirmish, this student could not go to because of the physical state they find themselves in at the moment. However, rather than them simply being left behind in the boarding village for the day whilst their mates went and had fun, 3 other boys from Year 12 went to the boarding staff and said, if Zach can't go, we don't want to go either, because we don't want him to be left by himself. You can see that correspondence there is some affirmations that were placed through Aura app from the boarding staff to highlight just how kind it was of those boys to give up an activity they would have enjoyed to instead to stay by their mates. And the final image I have for you today is also from Year 12. I was out on playground duty last week, and absolutely out of nowhere, I saw this image. Here's Rory and Gus. They probably stood like that for about 20 seconds. Enough time for me to look at them and think, what's happening? Enough time for me to move into a different position to get that wonderful shot, to take the phone out, to take the photo, and then for other groups of Year 12s in the rotunda to go, is that for culture of kindness? They're not doing anything kind. All they're doing is simply showing a care, a respect, a love for one another. That's what that 10,000 brothers is all about. Supporting your mates, making sure that everybody knows that they are respected and loved. Gentlemen, my final message for you before I pass over today is around our upcoming house masses. I was privileged to witness many different things in house masses during semester 1, from hearing boys sing to hearing different themes to even witnessing a student faint. But I reckon we can do house masses just a little bit better in the way we participate. If I compare and contrast a boarding mass to a house mass, the energy in the room is a little lower in the house masses. So I have a challenge for you starting this week and for all of the house masses this term. I want the participation to improve. Boys to sing, boys to respond to Father when he grants a blessing over us. But I know there are some boys that might go, well, I don't really know what to do in Mass. My only experience of church is when I come here to Nudgee. But I've got another example to inspire you. On Saturday at State High, Mr. Brealey, as he often does, takes his whole family along. It's part of the perks of being the dean of boarding. Very much your family are a part of Nudgee as well. Mr. Brealey has 2 young daughters, Mia and Ella. Ella couldn't be a day older than 3. But because she lives in and around Nudgee, she starts to learn different parts of Nudgee. So completely unprompted, as Ella went from the car over to somewhere near our supporters, she participated in what she thought was a Nudgee chant. I'll invite the video to be put up for us. So she was close. Gentlemen, my challenge to you, when we participate in our house masses this term, is to find that little bit of Ella in you. I want you to sing. The words will be on the screen. Join in with the choir. Participate. There will be an incentive for the Mass that I believe has that most tangible element of spirit and volume. I don't want you to shout, but starting this Thursday, and for each Thursday moving forward, I'll have a conversation with Father John at the end of a Mass to get a gauge on how he felt the congregation participated. You will find the Mass more giving, you'll find it more rewarding, and you will actively be participating in our Catholic faith, which is a massive part of the gospel spirituality of our school. Gentlemen, thank you for your time this morning. Please continue to look for avenues to show kindness to one another. And it's my privilege to pass over to Archer Robertson this morning.
Thank you for that, Mr. Waugh. Good morning, Mr. Thompson, CLT, and my fellow Nudgee brothers, of course. Today, I'm just up here quickly to tell you about the Season 2 of the Nudgee podcast, Unscripted. This one has been dubbed My Nudgee Hero. It's hosted by an old boy and former school captain, Wes Denning, of the class 2000. Nudgee students, like myself and some of you in the crowd, had the opportunity to jump up and ask their heroes a few big questions, sharing the stories of our awesome community. You'll hear from sporting legends, people who have overcome challenges, those giving back in amazing ways, and even stories leading up to the Brisbane 2032 Olympics. Real heroes, real stories, all nudgy. You can find the Linktree URL on the college website, app, student notices, or socials today. Here is a quick video and a quick sneak peek of what we've been working on over the past couple of months. Thanks, boys.
We had a buzzer beater win against Gregory Terrace in round 1.
They put up the Bledisloe Cup, and we said to David Brockhoff, we said, well, what's that? And he said, well, no one had seen it for 45 years, but he knew that it had existed.
I still believe hopefully one day I will be able to walk. When that day comes, I will be really happy and in tears, obviously, that I'm finally walking again.
We came to a Nudgee Open Day and we saw just the extraordinary opportunities. There is such a diverse range.
And that's what Nudgee's all about. We've got so many caring, wonderful people here in this community.
I love pulling on the number 85 for Italy. It means so much to me. But yeah, it's very special.
Welcome to My Nudgee Hero. It is the second series in the Unscripted podcast, and I'm your host, Wes Denning. It is real heroes, real stories, all nudgy.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of On the Couch with our sports prefects Tom Bayo, Isaac Raluni, and Levi Slater. It's so good to be back up here after what's been a fantastic start to the sporting season, and we cannot wait to see what we've got in store. So, with that in mind, Tom, can you give us a quick recap on what happened on the court over at State High on the weekend?
Yeah, great start to the basketball season with the first getting their first win in round 1 in like 5 years, so that's a great start from the boys. Year 6 teams got a clean sweep with all their games, and the 6As had a convincing win led by Kingston Massingale with nearly 30 points, I believe. The first 15 showed great ticker coming back from a losing streak on a 37-19 run, so great start, led by Nick Fernandez Pembroke and Vinny Maravecca, so yeah.
Yeah, that's a great result there. I'm really looking forward to see the rest of the season from the first 5. And moving forward, Thursday Road, Levi had the rugby kickoff.
Yeah, look, as a whole program, I think we went really well. We were able to get a clean sweep down at Thursday Road, winning all of our State High fixtures. One thing to note on Friday, we were able to host a touring school, and they played our 3rds and 4ths. We were successful and were able to get the win on Ross on Friday. We also had an under-11 gala day where boys were able to sort of get their first GPS rugby experience, which I think was great for all those young fellas. And then obviously in the first 15, we were able to secure the win for the boys. First one on the trot, and hopefully a lot more coming this season.
So Tom, I've seen you down at McHenry trying to play basketball. You're not that good, but like but it's good that you're trying to fit it in between your schedule of rugby and cricket trainings. But I just wanted to know what are the rising stars in basketball for everyone to keep their eye on this season?
Yeah, there's definitely a few. The basketball program's going well. So as I said before, Vinny Maravecca and Nick Fernandez Pembroke played really well. Kingston Massingale in year 6 is a gun. We have Theo Court, year 9, playing in the firsts. I have here Jensen Plowright and Hudson Heathcote in the younger grades 7 and 8 as well. They're going really well. So good to see so many young stars in our program, and it's looking bright for the future.
Sounds like we've got a lot of talent coming through, and make sure you boys get down to the game in round 3. Ipswich had a great win over Terrace over the weekend, so that's a big game coming up for the first 5. Levi, what about down on the flats at Ross Oval? Who should we be looking out for on the rugby field?
Yeah, look, I think all the teams are sort of geared up to have a great season, but just a couple of really strong under-11s this year. So I'm really excited to see how they go. A couple of shout-outs. Jasper Black in the 11Bs. He was able to score 5 tries on the weekend, or in just one match, one of the trial matches, I believe. So that's really outstanding performance by him. Aiden Loden in the 12As seems to be a bit of a strong ball carrier and definitely one to look out for. We also have the Hamish Allen in the 14Bs. He was able to score 4 tries against State High over the weekend, so that's a very outstanding performance. And then obviously some of our boys in the first 15, maybe one big shout out to Barry Talcolo, making his debut, able to score a hat trick as well. Big shout out to him, eh?
Absolutely, cracking game.
Just looking further ahead, we got track and field coming up, so big season to look out for. Isaac, do you want to give us a little preview of track and field and who are some players and people to look out for?
Oh yeah, yes. Pre-season trainings is well under the way. Mr. Freeman doing a great job in his first few weeks in the job, in the role. Sorry. The squad's looking really strong, and we're looking forward to trying to get back in the podium this year for the GPS champs in term 4. But some athletes to look out for this year are Matt Turner in the under 15s middle distance, Tyler Kwomomadzinski. Sorry, I don't know. That's a long name. I don't know how to say it. Sorry. In the under 14s jumping events, Dylan Manley, mainly in the under 15 sprints. The Curran twins, Ned and Will, I think everyone knows them to their cross country. In the open middle distance, Sean Petra Cicillo in the open hurdles, and Alex Watt in the under 15 throwing events. We can't wait to see how many very talented juniors go as well. So if you're sitting out there thinking you'd be keen to have a go on the track and field, make sure you come down to training. It's just a track out there. So.
Thanks for that, Isaac. All right, so moving on to a couple of quick fire questions now, and all three you can answer. So just starting with you here, Tom. What's your go-to pre-game snack on game day?
Probably just like a little muesli bar or something, bit of energy.
Yeah, I love the Cafe 63 chips, the hot chips. There you go. Yeah, I have them on every Saturday.
I'm not too sure. I like to keep it pretty basic. I'll just go with a couple of lollies in the sheds before we run out, eh?
Outstanding. And what about a pre-game hype song?
Yeah, I don't really have too many, but maybe a bit of Dave or something. Thiago Silva.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of hype songs, then I go down try to calm me down. So I listen to Where Your Head At, and then my last songs are Never Enough from The Greatest Showman before I take my headphones out. So
yeah, this one's probably not too family friendly, but Face of My City by Jack Harlow. That one gets a good run.
Outstanding. Well, I won't make you get up on stage sing those ones karaoke this time. Which round are you most looking forward to this season, both on the basketball and obviously the rugby?
I think definitely terrace round 9 at home. It's going to be massive premiership opportunities for both sides, I guess. So, yeah, it's going to be huge. Good to finish on Ross as well.
Oh, yeah, same. Yeah, probably at terrace. Or I'm looking forward to Toowoomba round 8. That'll be pretty hard. They showed it in trial game, so yeah.
Yeah, I'd like just to focus on next matchup. I reckon Ippy at home, first home game of the season. So I'm pretty keen for that one, I reckon.
Outstanding, lots to look forward to. Would you rather a game-winning three-pointer or a windmill dunk?
I think definitely a windmill dunk. It's probably pretty realistic for myself, obviously. So yeah.
Oh yeah, he can't dunk, but I would rather a game-winning 3-point. That's a little it's pretty sick to do that.
Yeah, I reckon a dunk as well. Same as Barry.
And we are in the middle of Try July, so what's the best try celebration you've ever seen?
I like the Telstra whistle guy from the Dragons. That was a good celly.
Mine's probably the Nick Meaney, the aura farming, that one, yeah. So.
We haven't seen it yet, but when Noah Feen gets over, I'm keen to see his little money Manziel get a workout.
Looking forward to that. And lucky last, which of the Raloni brothers do you think would win in a race to eat a tuck shop chicken burger and then sprint the length of Ross Oval?
I know, like, obviously it would be a tough contest between all of them. Like, they're all pretty competitive. But I gotta give to Isaac over here. Just the speed he'd get down that burger would be unreal.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's pretty simple. Just me.
Yeah, I reckon Eli probably has the speed, but you can't underestimate Isaac's chicken burger eating ability, so I'll go with him. All right, that's all we have today, guys. Looking forward to seeing you around the grounds this term. We'll be running sport activities during Wellbeing Week, so make sure you guys come around and get involved. Good luck to everyone playing basketball, rugby this term. Be sure to fill out the stands and support your Nudgy brothers every week. Thank you very much, guys.
Good morning, students, parents, teachers, CLT and Mr. Thompson. I would like to invite Kenan to the stage to perform one of his exam pieces. Last week, Kenan received a high distinction for his AME Grade 8 comprehensive piano exam. This is a very high achievement. We're very proud of Kenan. Congratulations on this wonderful result, and please enjoy Nocturne.
Good morning, Nudgy staff and students. For over 130 years, the Boarders have played a significant role in maintaining and improving our campus, which we proudly call home. From picking up stones on Ross Oval to painting fence pickets, the Boarders' contributions throughout the years have been invaluable, even if not always voluntary. These projects are more than just physical improvements. They represent the pride, teamwork and spirit that our Boarders bring to school every day. We thank every Boarder, past and present, for their part in shaping the place we are all proud to call home. I'd like to take a moment to share the story behind a special space recently created on our campus, Tom's Place, and the person it honours. Tom was a Boarder from the Northern Territory. He was known for his love of the outdoors, his long bushwalks to Nudgy Beach, and a deep appreciation for fishing, fresh air, and spending time with mates. Tom had a relaxed nature and a saying we all remember, bit of this, bit of that, you know how it is. That simple phrase captured who he was, easygoing, full of life, and always ready for whatever came next. But Tom wasn't just a mate, he was like a brother to many. He had a way of bringing people together, whether through his quick wit, his stories, or just his presence. He made an impact on everyone who knew him. Tragically, Tom passed away in a car accident in the Northern Territory last year. Tom's Place was created by his friends to honour his spirit. It sits quietly by the dam, a place to reflect, to sit with friends and to share stories. What started as a tribute has become something meaningful for many students, a space on campus that represents connection, peace and quiet strength. If you're ever down by the dam, I encourage you to stop for a moment. Take it in. It's more than just a bench or a name. It's a reminder of the kind of person Tom was and the community we continue to build in his memory. Thank you.
As almost all of you would now know, located in the Flats car park is a very large blue tree. The story behind this blue tree began with a simple yet profound act that has since sparked a global movement. The Blue Tree Project began in 2019, inspired by the story of Jaden White, who tragically lost his life to suicide in 2018. The tale of the original Blue Tree began as a light-hearted moment between Jaden and his friend Tajaria. Together, they painted a dead tree blue on Jaden's family farm in Western Australia's Wheatbelt region as a playful prank back in 2014. What started as an act of fun and mischief has since transformed into something significantly more meaningful. On June 8, 2025, the large dead tree in the middle of the Flats car park was painted by the Boarders and staff of Nudgy College, Clayfield College, St Margaret's and Stewart Home School. The day was action-packed with 6 different rotations, including the painting of the tree, bubble soccer, dodgeball, tug-of-war, normal soccer, and a mental wellbeing chat with former Dragons player Grant Dory, with it all ending in a barbecue lunch prepared by the seniors. The aim of this day was to change the way that we approach mental health. The blue tree, once a symbol of laughter, has evolved into a powerful symbol of hope, connection, and awareness. Each tree encourages open conversations, reminds us to check in on ourselves, and stands as visual prompts to support those who may be struggling. The blue trees are a symbol of hope, not loss. Thank you.
Good morning, Nudgy community. Good morning, gentlemen. I want to thank Kinnan for his wonderful performance there, and it's amazing to see any person in full flight in an area that they hold a great deal of passion for, but that passion and that expertise only comes after a tremendous amount of input and dedication. And so what you see there is the culmination of, no doubt, thousands and thousands of hours of practice. And they say to be an expert in anything takes 10,000 hours. So it's great to see the product of that dedication there on achieving grade 8 and a high distinction at Atkin. And so I think he deserves another round of applause. Gents, I'd like to thank you for the way that you've settled into term 3. It was a wonderful start to our term last week, and that continues throughout yesterday. I want to pick up on one little point, however, that Mr. Waugh spoke about. And it just sort of, my ears pricked when he said it. He said that we raised last term over $400 from the collection of all those recyclable vessels. So that's cans, that's bottles, that's poppers, whatever is supposed to go into those. Now, being a bit of a numbers person, I did the quick maths on that, and any of you in the crowd would have done so as well. That equates to 4,000 vessels or containers being put in a recyclable bin. If I'm to walk through the yard on any given day, I would estimate there's nearly 4,000 of those things a day at Nudgee. So I definitely think, gents, it's something that we can do a little bit better there, given that there is an ability to raise funds for really worthy causes. So again, a challenge out there. Let's do better in that space. Want to congratulate everyone who competed over the weekend, and it started on Friday evening. I was able to get down to State High on Friday afternoon and see our Nudgee brothers playing in the commencement of the GPS chess fixtures. Now, they had a pretty tough time down there, but I commend them on the way that they continued to fight right through to the end against some much higher ranked opponents across the field, not just in our first, but also across the field. So well done, and thank you, gents, for your commitment there. It was also great to get out to Thurston Road, and we've heard a little bit about it and the successes that we had out there. But I do want to talk about, for a moment, my morning that was spent at State High at the actual school. And I was able to see a number of various games, and a few teams had some very tough days at the office. A few had some nice close victories. There was a wonderful 31-all in the seconds, and the seconds were down by a fair way, and they clawed their way back to tie that game. But we've heard a little bit about the first 5. And I don't think we've heard enough, because I think it exhibits some great Nudgee spirit. Now, these boys, first game of the season, had a great pre-season, really highly anticipated season ahead of them. And within no time, they were down by a fair way. I think at one point they were down by at least 15 points in the first quarter. They went to quarter time, 12 points down. By half time, I think the score, they may have been 8 points up. And what they showed during that quarter hopefully epitomises the rest of their season and is a real example for all of us. They showed tremendous teamwork. They really muscled up. They showed grit, resilience, and determination. And they got through and they won solidly. That continued all the way through. They didn't really have a weak moment throughout the rest of the match. So I commend all of the gentlemen involved in that team and also in that program, because remember, the first is the tip of the triangle. So everybody in that program contributes, and in any program that we have at the school, contributes to how our first team performs. So well done, and I think they deserve a round of applause now. And just on that point around determination, a big shout out, and we've heard one mention of him this morning, to Zach in Year 12. He's had some huge health battles at the end of Term 2, and it was great to be able to walk in at the formal at Year 12 behind him with his crutches, determined to get to that formal. And even just then walking down here to assembly, not an easy task. And there he was on his crutches trying to get there as quick as possible, and still beating some of you to the assembly. But he's showing incredible resilience and determination there. But also to one of our little Year 7 men, to Lucas. And he's not here with us this term. But Lucas has had some health battles as well. And we know, whilst not here, there's so many of you in spirit who are showing your support for him. And we wish him all the best, but he as well is showing that incredible determination and resilience, and we look forward to welcoming him back as soon as we possibly can. I do apologise, Mr. Carmody, I didn't get my sheet to you, so there will be a couple of slides that thank you, you've done the first one. I'm going to just retread over some of the territory that I visited last week. And you'll notice I changed the image there that we'll have on the screen there, of Pope Leo XIV. Now, another little bit about Pope Leo. Tremendous man. Looking forward to hearing of what he does with us in the Catholic Church as leader. But one thing about him is he's a tremendous tennis fan. And whilst he's holding his racket in his left hand there, like a lefty, Mr. Page, don't get too excited, he's actually a right-handed tennis player. So this is where he met Yannick Sinner, the world number one, after a recent victory. This is a couple of months ago, and we would know that Sinner won in Wimbledon very recently. But I focus in on that quote that Pope Leo's that I shared with you last week from St. Augustine. If we want to be better place, if we want to be the world to be a better place, we have to start with ourselves. And so last week I listed 4 things, and I'm going to go over those very quickly. I spoke about respect the learning of self and others, show ample amounts of gratitude, be graceful in defeat and humble in victory, and be kind to others, make their day better for having encountered you. And it's on the first point that I want to focus, please, this morning. And that is respect the learning of self and others. And it's that word respect. You heard it a bit last week. It was frequently used. We've heard it already a bit this morning. And the vast majority of you in this community, you show respect in spades. Tremendous amount of respect. I had a visitor here last Thursday. He's a principal of a very, very small school in the Northern Rivers in a tiny town called Alstonville. Luckily, it's called St. Joseph's, like many schools in Australia are, like Nudgee is. And we walked around for about 2.5 hours. And he said the thing that struck him was the way that boys respected him. He said, I was just a blow-in. No one knows who I was. But every encounter I had, he felt that respect. So many of you know how to show respect. As Mr. Mara said at the start, it would be great if every single one of you showed respect for our uniform and wore that correctly, particularly at assemblies at the beginning and the end of every day. Vast majority of you do all of those things that you can see on the board there. But one thing you need to remember is that respect is earned. It's not just granted to you. I often use the word entitlement. We're not entitled to be here. We are privileged. And respect is a lot like that as well. Respect is not something you are entitled to because of the school you go to, because of who your parents may be, because of the history or connection you may have to a particular area. Respect is something that is earned. And in a conversation very recently with an incredibly wise and learned colleague, he spoke about some of the challenges that no doubt arise when humans interact with each other, and particularly in classrooms, and about boys that weren't showing respect in a class. And instead of him saying, you need to respect me, he turned it around a little bit. He asked the question, why is it that you're not showing respect for yourself in your behaviours that you're choosing to exhibit? And that's a real thing there. It's a really important thing. And it leads me to a quote I want to share with you. And this is by an author called Fyodor Dostoevsky, an incredibly famous Russian author. I've only read a little bit of Dostoevsky. My wife said quite aptly, the one book that I have read is called The Idiot. But a beautiful book and a very entertaining book. And you can see that quote there. If you want to be respected by others, the great thing is to respect yourself. Only by self-respect will you compel others to respect you. Now, Miss Hale's going to get up here in a moment, and she's got some pretty strong messages. And we know that it only goes out to a minority, a very small minority of Nudgee students. However, it's important that sometimes when people make these choices, there's witnesses around. And it takes a pretty strong person to be able to stand up and say, no, that's wrong. If something is wrong, it needs to be called out. And so I ask that you listen very carefully there. And to those people who are part of this very small minority, you need to start showing a little bit of respect, not even a little bit, more respect to yourself. like the vast majority of Nudgee students do. And I hope over the coming weeks that number of students who know how to show and do respect themselves, and in turn they get the respect of others and they respect others, that number grows. Gents, have a wonderful week. Thank you for all that you do. I look forward to seeing you around the yard.
Good morning, Mr. Thompson, CLT, staff, and my fellow Nudgee brothers. Over the past decade, Australian athletes have delivered some of the most unforgettable moments, from Ariane Titmus lighting up the pool, to Sam Kerr leading the Matildas to global stardom, to finally Pat Cummins leading our cricket team to every possible trophy. Across so many sports, we've seen Aussies reach the top, and among these are the standout names like Ash Barty. Ash Barty started playing tennis at the ripe age of 4. By 15, she was winning junior Grand Slams all across the world, and she was quickly labelled the next big thing in Australian sports. From the outside, everything looked perfect, but inside, Ash was overwhelmed. After relentless travel schedules, pressure, and overwhelming expectations, a 17-year-old Ash had had enough. She quietly stepped away from the game she loved, telling the world she needed a break. The Australian sporting community was in shock. How could someone so talented just walk away? But what some people didn't know was that Ash was struggling with anxiety, loneliness, and high levels of burnout. She was no longer enjoying the sport. She needed time away from the game just to be herself, without the weight of being the next big thing. In her time off, she took up cricket, as well as spending time with her loved ones back home in Ipswich, where she started to rebuild, not just her career, but her sense of self. When Ash finally returned to the tennis arena in her early 20s, she came back calmer and stronger than ever. Within only a few years, she climbed to world number 1, won Wimbledon, and then fulfilled her lifelong dream of winning the Australian Open. Then, at 25, she retired for good, but this time on her own terms. Ash was happy, she was fulfilled, and she was proud of the journey she had taken. Her story isn't just one of a true champion, but one about listening to herself, making brave choices, and proving that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is taking a step back. Her story reminds us that success doesn't always mean pushing through no matter what. Sometimes real strength comes from stopping, checking in with ourselves, and making space for what we truly need. And that's what Mental Wellbeing Week is all about. This Friday marks the beginning of the college's Mental Wellbeing Week, and it's a time for all of us to pause, take a breath, and check in with ourselves, our mates, and our teachers. Across the week, there'll be opportunities to get involved in activities across gratitude, art, and sports. We'll kick things off this Friday with all seniors gathering in the grandstand to receive our heart badges. This continues the tradition of our seniors physically putting their hearts on our sleeves as we lead the way for the rest of the school. Throughout next week, morning PCs will include group check-ins and the chance to write words of affirmation. These will then be displayed in the Spirit Tunnel and later around Ross to help spread these important messages throughout the week. At lunchtimes, there will be live music and activities for everyone. These include half-court basketball shots, rugby pass challenges, and King of the Court handball comps. These will be run by our sports prefects. Finally, to wrap things up, the barbecue committee will be firing up the grill on Thursday, along with a strong Friday finish for our first cheer practice of the term as we prepare for IPI at home. It's a big week, but an important one. Let's make the most of it, let's get involved, and most importantly, let's look out for each other. Cheers.
Good morning, staff and Nudgee men. Last week, I introduced a key focus for this term, respect. Respect is such a simple yet powerful word. When someone is described as respectful, it says so much about their character. When we show respect for our environment, it tells everyone how much we value it. This school is more than just buildings and playing fields. It's where we learn, where we grow, and where we build friendships and memories. It's a shared space, and with that comes shared responsibility. So, what does it say when classroom desks are carved into, walls are drawn on, or toilets are deliberately damaged? What does it say when we treat this place our school like it's disposable. If we respect our school, then we shouldn't have images like this. This is not an accident. This is intentional damage. This is not respect. I could show many more images of damage in our toilets around the campus, but they're disgusting. What this damage says is that we've forgotten what respect really means, because respect is shown through action. It's easy to say, I respect my school, but the real test is what we do when no one is watching. Respecting our environment means putting rubbish in the bin, even when it's not ours. Treating school property like it's our own, not vandalizing it, not damaging it for a cheap laugh. Leaving classrooms in the way you found them, chairs pushed in, desks clean, no mess left behind. Shared spaces used properly, from the ovals to the toilets, from the tuck shop area to the library. Every time you make a choice to honor this space, you're showing respect for the school, for your teachers, for your peers, and most importantly, for yourself. Think of it this way. Your environment reflects who you are. A school filled with pride, care, and spirit sends a message. We are people who value what we are given. We don't take it for granted. So today, and every day, I challenge you to think about the impact of your actions. If you see rubbish, pick it up. If you see damage, report it. If you're using a space, leave it better than you found it. Respect isn't a one-time thing. It's a habit, a choice, a reflection of your character. I wonder what would happen if we spoke about respect in our school in the same way we spoke about Nudgee College. Thank you. We'll move on before we finish with our 3 cheers to just look through the week ahead. So you can see that we have many social justice activities this week, and that we need to ensure that we're signing on. Thanks, gents. No. No. Been trumped by the 3 cheers. Let's give Dan a massive round of applause. That was Dan Caputo, boarding prefect. Thank you, Dan. And then let's look at the week ahead. As I was saying, social justice activities, gents, if we are respecting the opportunities that we have, then we give to others. So if you have the ability to sign up for a social justice activity, Mrs. Lee Good and the people that it impacts would be really grateful. So let's ensure that we're making a conscious effort this term to do those things. When we look at our formation this week, Archer wonderfully launched our podcast, season 2 of the podcast. Let's ensure that we are supporting and listening to that on a weekly basis. We'll remind you at every assembly of that as well. And you can see our locations for SF as well this week. We also have school photos tomorrow. Thanks. Let's ensure that we are looking like we respect ourselves and the wonderful school that we go to. And then finally, while we might have a bye weekend this weekend, there are still many, many fixtures happening across the weekend. So I wish everyone that is participating in those the best of luck. Gentlemen, let's sit up straight. And wait to be dismissed. We're going to head as quickly to our period 2 lesson to maximize our education time. So let's go with McKenna House and Ross House. Fogarty House